Hello, Lori here. Today I'm going to show you how to create your own page files in order to use over and over again with the Artisan 4 or 5 or even Storybook Creator from .ping files. You'd be able to go to any store and purchase any template where the designer offers .ping files. Now, you can see right now that there are both .pings and .page, but there are definitely times when you will need to create your own pages from the pings that designers offer. The set I'm going to use is from PickleberryPop. It's Lots of Lots number 6 by Heartstrings Scrap Art. You're going to purchase and download and then unzip. And once you do, I'm going to work you through the steps on exactly how to make these pages, these templates in .page file for you to use over and over again. I'll close this, and here they are. I've saved the .ping files, and I've saved the .tiffs in this particular case. Now the reason I've saved the .tiffs I'll go into in just a moment, but the TIFF files you cannot use in any live sort of a way in Artisan. You can only use those in a flat way, like as a JPEG. So you'll see that in just a moment. Let me move this screen out of the way. And I have a project that I actually call I have added on an empty frame. And when I add that frame, I'll go ahead and delete this one. I just set it over to the side out of the way. I'm going to come to this background, unlock, and I'll go to Order, Make Normal, Right Mouse, Delete. The reason I do that is because I don't need two backgrounds. The template itself with the .pings will have its own background, and I just don't need another background. It's an extra step. You don't have to do it. Totally up to you. I also always add in a text box. The reason I do this, and I put it over to the side, the reason I do this is so then I can type in the name of the designer and the name of the template. And then if I want to, I could call it template number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Helps if I spell it correctly. At this point, from here, I could take this blank one that I've started, and I could duplicate as many times as there are templates that I have. Because for this one, I could change it to number 2 and then keep going. So I'll go back to number 1. We're going to just do one template for the moment. I'll pull back over this folder so you can see exactly what I'm doing. To begin with, I open up A because A is number 1, and I'm going to look through and see if there's a preview. This is for the preview, and you can see that Heartstrings Scrap Art does not include a preview in with the ping files. This is why I saved these TIFFs. I like to have a preview over at the side. The reason for that is because as I'm scrapping, if I make a lot of changes, but I still want to get an idea of what the designer had in mind, I can go right here and I can look at it. I don't like leaving it live though, because if I were to drag something over that spot, it would want to put itself there. So I always lock it. When I go back to this folder, I'm now going to open this ping file of A. One of the important things when you're converting, in order to get everything in the correct placement so that the background is at the back and then the elements build up from that, is the background has to be the first thing you pull over with everything else after it. And it depends on how you're looking at it in this box as to how that will happen. In this case, since the background is actually the very last thing that you see, you'll go to View, Sort By, Descending. When you do that, they will flip upside down, and now the background is the first thing that you see. You can use your keyboard to do Control A, and it will grab everything in there so you don't have to scroll up and down. And you can see when I did that, everything is selected. Now you'll grab from the background. If I drag over here, these 6 will go underneath that piece, so they'll be out of order. So you start here at the background. I'm holding my left mouse key down, and then I'm going to drag, and you can see all 86 layers are coming over. Now this part is fairly time intensive. It's going to take a little while, so I'm going to talk through some things while this happens. You can't do anything else with that folder or with this with Artisan while this is happening. So really you have to be patient and wait. Depending upon how many other things you've got going on at the time will depend on how quickly this happens, and also the fewer layers, the quicker it is. Now a comment is you see these layers coming over, you see them building up, you'll notice there are shadows underneath some of the pieces, underneath the mats, underneath the green piece of paper and that blue piece of paper that's really big. You'll see those mats, you'll see those shadows under there. One of the cool things that some of the designers do is they put in custom shadows, and custom shadows shaped like this are rather time consuming for artisan users to do. It takes a lot of flattening and cutting and fancy stuff because we can't do the same actions that Photoshop or Elements does. So when a designer has those cool shadows like Heartstring Scrap Art does, I like leaving them and using them because it gives a lot of additional texture to the page. You can see that things are still filling in, 86 layers, 86 pieces, elements, takes quite a while to put over there. Meanwhile, I'm going to just let you know that when I work with a template like this, I've saved it into my files, and I've given it whatever name is up here so that I can have them easily accessible, and I can keep track on which ones I've already purchased so I don't purchase them again by mistake. I can also reuse this template many times in different projects and changing maybe some of the photo spots to make some fewer, or change out the frames to make it look totally different. Maybe I would flip the template or rotate it. Many different things that you can do to reuse templates and have them not look identical each time you do use it again. So with this, I am going to, after I do the full converting, I am going to save it into a folder. I'll convert all of them, all 4 templates. They'll be over there that I can pull over and use in any project at any point later on. I shall move this folder out of the way so we can see what's going on. I'm not going to click anywhere in this box at this point because right now everything is selected. If you look over on the Elements panel, all of those are selected. I will immediately go to the Home tab, Align, and down at the very bottom, Center on Page. That's going to shift everything into the middle of the page. Now in this case, and I did this on purpose with the background at the beginning, in this case you can see there is no background around the edge. My project page is slightly bigger than this template. If that happens, you can either group all of this after you've done the converting and enlarge it so that it does go right to the page, Or you could simply just add a background or not delete the background to begin with. But this is fine. It's not a problem. It doesn't affect anything. You just want to notice it and take care of it before you save this to use it. I will now go to cut and fill, hit the straight cutter, everything's still selected, hit the straight edge. When it comes up, it's going to be smack down the middle of the page. All you have to do is drag it off to the side. It's going to default, if you're in Artisan 4, to keep the unselected section, and you will say cut. All of the steps that I've just done, you can also do in Artisan 5, as well, of course, as in Storybook Creator. Now, the cutting part takes just as long as bringing everything over onto the page. So we'll pause and come back to this. We're back again, and that took probably 5 or so minutes before all of those 86 layers cut. I haven't touched it yet. You can see all of them are highlighted, and here they are over there at the sides. So I will click somewhere else and deselect all of these. Since I'm going to leave all of these shadows, I'm not going to do anything that disturbs those at all. But these photos aren't live. And in order to easily scrap with these later on, I need to make them live. Now when I'm converting for myself personally, there are times when I don't bother making the photos live. I wait until I'm scrapping with it, and then I'll make them live at that point, because I don't necessarily use right off every single one of the templates that I get. Horrors, right? You would think that I would. But occasionally they do sit there and not get used right away. But to make it easier, in order to be able to use these quickly when I want to scrap with them, it is a nice thing to go ahead and do that. Insert, empty frame. Now I have a live photo spot. I'm going to show you a couple of different tricks, a couple of different things that you can do when you're doing this. One of them is, see how that photo spot and this photo are both quite close to the same color? If I pull this over and I try to angulate it exactly the same, and then while it's selected, I pick that photo underneath, I'll go to Arrange. See up here on the left, this little icon down on the bottom left? I'm going to make them the same size. And then this second icon, I'm going to center vertically. And this fifth icon over, I'm going to center horizontally. And they jump on top of each other. You can see that I might not be angulated exactly the same, because I'm not seeing any of that black frame over here. Before I deselect, I'll go to Group and Ungroup, and now it's put it down underneath the frame where it belongs, but we're going to take a closer look. I'm going to zoom up a little bit. I'm going to deselect. I'm going to go over here to the side and deselect, and I'm going to check my edges. See this bottom edge, how it's hanging out? Let's go even bigger. See this bottom edge right here? It's hanging out a little bit. So I didn't size this exactly perfectly. That's fine. I'm sorry, I didn't angle it exactly perfectly. But still, that's fine. I can just suck it in a little bit. I can pull it in at the edge. Now, in order to not have so many layers, if I go down here and look, I can grab the one right underneath it. You can see how that's in the same spot. It's the one right underneath that live photo spot. I'll hit delete, and now it will go away. So I've just got my live photo spot. If I go to this photo here, you can see this one has a white mat around it. and the photo spot is on top of that white mat. Over here, here's the mat. Up here, here's the photo spot. I'll go ahead and insert empty frame. When I grab that and bring it around and angulate it, see how close those grays are to each other? What I find when I'm converting is sometimes it's easier to go through with all of those photo spots and change the color to something really bright that will catch my eye. This helps for two reasons. First, I can see it over here on the Elements tab. I know exactly which one it will be that I need to delete afterwards. Secondly, if I don't have my angle perfectly right, it's much easier to tell. One other thing that I do like to do when at all possible is to make this mat part of that photo spot. To do this, go to Format Photos. You can hit Select Mat, and in this case it's a larger mat, so I'll go up here to this top left. Those look just about the same. I'll click OK, and now I'm not going to size to the red one. Let's delete that red photo spot. I'm actually going to size to this white one. I'm going to change that white one red, and I am giving you a bunch of tricks here, so if you don't want to do all this, you can just fast forward through this part. You don't have to do any of these. I'm just showing you some different things that you can do. I'll grab the photo spot with the mat. Since I am going to check and I look like my angle is really good, I'll go ahead and select that also. Arrange. This icon, this icon, this icon, group, and ungroup. Now the nice thing is, and it didn't ungroup, let's hit one more time. The nice thing is, with that a nice bright different color, I can see that it's not perfectly the same size. So I can hold my Shift key on the keyboard and pull it out and fix it. Now over here I can delete, and the bottom part is gone. Now if you thought that these mats are rounded up, it's the because that's the way it looks. It's the shadow, the custom shadow underneath that is giving you that look. That's actually a rectangular mat with no fancy curves to it. But the shadow that is easily able to be done with Photoshop and Elements, and that we can't do as easily in Artisan, that's what gives it that rounded look. I'm going to go ahead back to see the whole thing. You can see that I do have a couple of photo spots filled in. I want to do one more because you might be wondering what happens here when that falls off the side of the page. I'll just grab one I've already got, copy and paste it, and go up and zoom this up so that I can see it really well. I'll slide it out of the way, and I'm going to turn that photo spot again to that bright red so I can see it better. Now in this case, I might choose not to just put the mat on here. You can see on this one, this mat has a little bit of a texture. It isn't a flat white. It's got a little bit of a texture to it. So I may choose to keep that. Again, totally up to you. Once you purchase these are your templates to do with as you will. I will angulate. That was my fault. I hit the right mouse button by mistake. I will try to angulate as perfectly perfect as I can. And in this case, when I select both of these and go to Arrange, click, 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 Group, Ungroup, I always go through and do all of those clicks immediately. You'll see that it isn't the same size because of this funky shape going on, and I'm not quite perfectly aligned, so that's okay. I'll select just that photo spot, and I'm going to shift and move and resize until I'm happy. And then at this top part where it hangs over, I will grab and pull it out beyond the edge. Now, if this was right up to the edge of the piece of the piece of paper, the edge of the project, then it would hang off and it wouldn't be a big deal at all. In this particular case, because I might choose to use a background behind it, then it would be a little awkward. It would look a little funny there. So I could certainly take that frame that is behind it, and once I get that frame, I could even drag it straight up right to the edge. And that still looks perfectly natural. I can do whatever makes me happy as I'm adjusting this so that it looks the way I want. I'll go ahead and delete the red one underneath. Let's take another quick look at this overall, and you can see that I would just fill in my photos the whole way through. I've got my name, and now I'm going to save this. A lot of times what I'll do is I will grab the whole name from there and copy, and then I will save it over into my kit. But what I might also do is go back to the folder and see how the designer named it. So then I could grab this and I could use that as the name when I save it. It really doesn't make a difference. It's whichever way you'd like to do it. To save, you'll go to File, Save As, Export Current Page. Once you do, you're going to decide where you're going to put it. I have a DigiKits folder. My newest folder that I'm adding everything new to is called New from June. I would go down to my templates folder, and wherever I have organized to put it is where it would end up going. So in this case, it came from PickleberryPop, and I could open that folder and put it there. As the type, you might want to choose .page if you're using Storybook Creator or Artisan 4, because that is universal. If you were to go to Artisan 5, or you were at Storybook Creator and were to go to Artisan 4, .page can be used in any of them, and it might be the best idea to save that way. If you're scrapping with Artisan 5, if you're converting with Artisan 5, your only choice is .art page, and that means it can only be opened in Artisan 5. I'll go to .page, I will paste in whatever name I chose, and I will hit save. It's as simple as that. Then they will be down in the list. You can pull them up and use them on any page that you'd like, and scrap with them just as if you bought a .page file from a designer. But now you can use all the .pings and make your own conversions of templates to scrap as you'd like. Take care, have a great day, enjoy, and have fun shopping.